Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We love those guys. Get in touch with them, betterwater.com. There's so much to get to. Yesterday was just absolutely insane. I mean, the moment I got off the air, it seemed like the news cycle went into overdrive, even compared to how fast it's been moving recently. It was wild. I mean, we had the Trump was signing an executive order with the new office of the Office of Management and Budget Director, Russ Vought. He's instructing him to implement a plan under which most agencies can hire just one new employee for every 4 that departs, which then snowballed into a Trump-Elon presser that was fantastic. We also had Trump hosting the King of Jordan, King Abdullah, in the White House, getting him to agree to bring Palestinians in. Then we had Trump bringing home an American hostage for nothing, just by saying send him home, which is something I'm not used to after 4 years under the Biden administration. If you blinked, you missed Lauren Boebert. She's heading up a new committee on the declassification of the JFK files. She gets up to a podium yesterday and says, oh, by the way, everything I've looked at, I'm thinking 2 shooters. It's like, what? What? Oh, my gosh. Also, Glenn Beck goes on the Patrick Bet-David podcast, and he says within 10 days, we got the Epstein client list. 10 days. Now, take it with a grain of salt, but time will tell if that is true. Also, geez Louise, it was just going so fast. We had new emails revealing that the Biden White House orchestrated the Trump document case, the Mar-a-Lago raid from day one. Yeah, spoiler alert, we already knew that. But it seems like they have a smoking gun now. And then in Nashville, locally, massive press conference yesterday about the Tren de Aragua illegal alien brothels. They tried so hard to avoid the term illegal alien. They've tried so hard to avoid the term Tren de Aragua, yet they couldn't avoid it yesterday. They couldn't. Nashville trafficking, completely exposed. And I'm glad that it was exposed. The crackdown on the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua continues across the nation, reports Fox 17. And law enforcement officials announced the indictment of 8 members of the accused Tren de Aragua of multiple federal crimes in Tennessee. Robert McGuire, the acting United States Attorney for the Middle District of Tennessee, along with leaders from the Metro Nashville Police Department and TBI, FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, and the DEA, announced the details of the indictment in a press conference yesterday. McGuire said that the indictment alleges that all 8 defendants conspired to transport women from South America into the United States and force those women to engage in prostitution, happening right under our nose, right here in Middle Tennessee, proving once again that wide-open border policy under Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats turned every single state into a border state, made every single community less safe. Officials also allege the trafficking was part of a scheme to promote an unlawful prostitution enterprise in the Middle District of Tennessee. We will not stand by and allow TDA or any criminal organization to get a stronghold in Tennessee. They are not going to be here. They will not be allowed to commit crimes here. We will hunt these bad actors down. TBI Director David B. Rosh vowed. We will dismantle them. We will work with every tool that we have under the law to hold these violent criminals absolutely accountable for my fellow Tennesseans. Rest assured, this is an ongoing cooperative work involving our Tennessee chiefs and sheriffs throughout the state. Together, we are working to protect and improve the safety of our communities and the volunteer state. At least they acknowledged it. I was half thinking that this story would disappear and we would never hear from it again. But they had a big press conference yesterday. And I don't take issue with the press conference. I did take issue with one comment from the press conference, though. And maybe this is just me, and maybe I'm being a bit too sensitive, and maybe I'm seeing things that are there that aren't really there. And maybe you might say, Chris, chill out. This is nothing. But Chief Drake of the Metro Nashville Police Department, he gave a statement, and I thought, that's weird. It's a weird thing to say. And then I'll read the statement. You tell me if you pick out what I picked up when he said it. The statement is, the trafficking of human beings is abhorrent to all of us. It's a modern-day form of slavery. I want to be very clear. Our police department will always make human trafficking an investigative priority regardless of where the suspects are from, and will work with our partners for an intentional and coordinated law enforcement response. You just busted people for sex trafficking. A gang of illegal aliens that are causing massive amounts of crime all over the country, taking over apartment complexes in Colorado, starting fights with cops in New York City, running brothels in your own damn city. And you say, I will make human trafficking an investigative priority regardless of where the suspects are from. Is that just too politically correct? Am I reading too much into that statement? I heard that and I just thought, soft. Absolutely soft. So soft. Like triple ply, extra comfy Charmin, soft. Why did you have to have that little disclaimer in there? I'll look for human trafficking suspects and investigate it wherever they're from. Oh, gee whiz. Thanks, Chief. Thanks. Sure am glad to know that you're an ally. And okay. That just rubbed me the wrong way. Again, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. I'm open to that being a possibility. But my initial reaction when I heard it live as I was watching this press conference was, you are so soft. You're soft, dude. You're soft. I think we need somebody a bit tougher in that position than Chief Drake. I'm glad these individuals are busted. I wonder if they would have been busted if it wasn't for the help of TBI, Homeland Security, the DEA. I wonder if Chief Drake's department is out there actively looking for illegal alien-operated brothels or brothels in general. Soft. I thought it was soft. It's my personal opinion. I thought it was soft. I'm open to being wrong, but I don't think I am. That was local in Nashville yesterday, and they had this press conference. They broke it all down, and this is what it sounded like inside that press conference.
United States Attorney for the Middle District of Tennessee. Today, our office is announcing the arrest of 8 Venezuelan nationals for a federal indictment alleging multiple federal crimes.
Whoa, bro, why you got to say they're Venezuelan? We're going to look for these kind of people no matter where they're from. Sorry.
The indictment alleges that all 8 of the defendants conspired to transport women from South America into the United States and compelled those women to engage in prostitution.
Now, by compelled, you mean threatened. Threatened with absolute terror and violence and fear.
We allege that this trafficking was all a part of a scheme to promote an unlawful prostitution enterprise here in the Middle District of Tennessee. 3 defendants are also charged with conspiring to commit sex trafficking of these vulnerable victims by using force, fraud, and coercion to compel their participation in illegal commercial sex acts. This was all done for the profit of these defendants.
Yep. This is why it's done. Now, again, I'm glad these guys are busted, but it's like from the moment this bust happened, we could have told you that they were illegal aliens. I mean, it was pretty obvious, right? Like it was pretty much on the nose of what we thought it was from the moment that this story dropped. Yet, Metro Nashville PD didn't return calls from WTN when this was breaking live, right? We don't have we don't have Phil Williams investigating this. He's focused on white nationalism, right? Yeah. Insane. It's so soft. I'm sorry. I thought this was a conservative red state. No, all right, weird.
The indictment also charges 1 defendant with unlawful possession of firearms by an illegal alien. As of this morning, all charged defendants are in federal custody. We have the names and aliases of the defendants as described in the indictment on this screen. We will also be issuing a press release today containing each individual's name, their known aliases, their ages, and the charges that apply to each. This indictment and the arrests of the defendants today is a demonstration of our full commitment to end human trafficking wherever and whenever we can find it.
Well, let's just pray these guys keep working, because I'm sure that this is just the tip of the iceberg out here. Let's be perfectly honest. Middle Tennessee is one of the just perfect areas where like everything runs through, whether it's coming down from the north, coming up from Florida, coming up from Texas, everything's running through Middle Tennessee. I hope that they keep their eyes peeled. I hope that they keep investigating. I hope we see more arrests. They do. But yesterday just kept going and going and going. We also had judges versus Trump. All these judges trying to shut down DJT. A ton of judges trying to shut down DJT. 3 weeks into his presidential term, Breitbart reports, the Democrat Party is rudderless. They lack compelling, charismatic leadership. They're rapidly losing ground in the culture war that they dominated for so long. They don't have any favorable issues or narratives that are breaking out into the broader culture consciousness. They tried, and the tried and true tactic of public shaming and cancellation couldn't even keep the young Doge employee known as Big Balls out of a job. However, there is one element of the activist left that still poses a significant threat to Donald Trump and his agenda, and that, my friends, is lawfare. Many of the same elements of our system of justice that were used to harass, bankrupt, and even try to jail Donald Trump in years past are still in place and are already being weaponized against MAGA right now. And we're seeing it on full display. Donald Trump talking about it yesterday. All of these judges, can you imagine this?
For the sake of the country, I hope that the person that's in charge and the other people that report to me that are in charge are allowed to do the right thing, namely make sure everything's honest, legitimate, and competent. But we're looking at just, when you look at USAID, that's one. We're going to look at the military. We're going to look at education. They're much bigger areas. But the USAID is really corrupt. I'll tell you, it's corrupt. It's incompetent, and it's really corrupt. And I can't imagine a judge saying, well, it may be corrupt, but you don't have the right. You got elected to look over the country and to, as we say, make America great again, but you don't have the right to go and look and see whether or not things are right that they're paying or that things are honest that they're paying. And nobody can even believe this. Other people, law professors, they've been saying, how can you take that person's right away? You're supposed to be running the country, but we're not allowed to look.
That's what these activist judges are saying. Don't look over here. You're not allowed to. They even put a hold on Scott Bessent, the Treasury Director, looking at the Treasury files. Make it make sense. Can they make it make sense?
And who they're paying it to and what they're paying. We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars already in, 2 weeks?
Yes.
And it's going to go to numbers that you're not going to believe. And much, as I said, much is incompetence and much is dishonesty. We have to catch it. And the only way we're going to catch it is to look for it. And if a judge is going to say you're not allowed to look for it, that's pretty sad for our country. I don't understand how it could even work.
No, it shouldn't work that way. It's not going to play out that way. And I hope if this judge keeps this up and somehow people side with him, I hope Donald Trump just ignores it. Screw these guys. Look at the budget. Look at the budget by any means necessary. And then look into the people that are screaming the loudest about them looking into the budget, too. There's a lot coming out of this Elon press conference. It's Doge versus everybody. We'll cover it when we return right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation goes to a vote today, and Tennessee Governor Bill Lee gets his signing pen ready. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
This other thing about Elon. Elon's going to steal everybody's money. He has $400 billion. I'm telling you, he's not going to steal your money. I'm telling you, that's not what he's doing. What he's doing is he's a super genius that's been f***ed with, okay? And when you've been f***ed with by these nitwits that hide behind three-letter agencies, and you're dealing with one of the smartest people alive, and he helps Donald Trump get into office, and he goes, I want to find out what kind of corruption is really around. Well, you f***ed up. You f***ed up and picked the wrong psychopath on the spectrum, because he's gonna hunt you down. He's gonna find out what's going on, and that's good. That's good for everybody. That's how you should be looking at this. Like, wow, we have a brilliant mind that is examining these really fucking corrupt and goofy systems and bringing in a bunch of psychopath wizards.
That's Joe Rogan on Elon Musk and Doge. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners. You know why you need them.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
BetterWater.com. Super geniuses, psychopathic wizards. It's just another day on the Chris Hand Show. Wednesday, February 12th. We got a Doge subcommittee hearing on the war on waste happening right now up in D.C. We'll be bringing you relevant audio from that as we get it. We also, yesterday, had a Trump and Elon Musk presser that was just giving off all these wholesome vibes. Did you see Elon's son, Little X, there? Did you see all the memes online? They were comparing it to JFK Jr. in the White House with JFK. I saw it. It hit you right in the feels. It felt good. But the message that was delivered at that press conference, the message is what's important. And Elon Musk saying it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. And you see the inflation report that came out today, not looking good again. Spoiler alert. So we have to cut spending if we want to get this under control. We have to.
So at a high level, if you say what is the goal of Doge and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, FKX, we would have to, if you
Little X is just talking the whole time. And he looks like a stud, too, by the way. Slick outfit.
Totally stole the show.
He did. I love it. But the message can't be missed from Elon.
It's all right. So, I tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, or if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people.
That's what we're looking for. You know, the people voted overwhelmingly for massive government reform, radical transparency, and change in Donald Trump. The man won the popular vote. The man won the House. The man won the Senate. The mandate from the American people couldn't be more clear, yet right now, what we're up against are bureaucrats and activist judges. I mean, the actual Democrats, they don't stand a chance. Right now, the fight is with the bureaucrats and the activist judges.
That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at this, if you asked looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want. And it does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix.
Amen. There's a lot more gems from this presser, but I love that. If you could talk to the founding fathers and you said, what do you think of this? They'd probably say we revolted over a 2% tax on tea. What are you guys doing? It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 9:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Tulsi Gabbard is poised to be confirmed.
On Capitol Hill, Tulsi Gabbard, the president's pick for Director of National Intelligence, will face her final confirmation vote in just a few hours. Even after receiving some tough questions from Republicans during her hearing, it does appear that she has the support to get across the finish line.
That's ABC's Rachel Scott reporting. The Inspector General of USAID was shown the door yesterday after issuing a report that was critical of the Trump administration's efforts to dismantle that agency. And he wasn't the only one either.
4 FEMA officials fired yesterday after Musk claimed Doge found tens of millions of dollars were spent by the agency on housing migrants in New York hotels. Massive cuts also announced at the Department of Education, worth nearly $900 million.
ABC's Perry Russum reporting Governor Bill Lee is set to sign the Education Freedom Act into law today during a ceremonial signing in Nashville. That plan gives 20,000 Tennessee students around $7,000 in public funds to pay for private school tuition. Well, losses on Wall Street are easing a bit. Stocks started out sharply lower after a report showed inflation coming in hot last month. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrials are down 362, the Nasdaq falling 72 points. S&P 500 index is down 32. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It strikes me as breathtakingly ironic. The cynic might say cynical, that the people who are screaming so loudly about President Trump's decision to audit federal spending are the very same people under President Biden who wanted to hire 80,000 new IRS agents with guns to audit the American people.
Yeah, that's pretty weird, isn't it? It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. That was Senator Kennedy. I know, he sounds a lot like our friend Calvin from Lebanon. We know. But Senator Kennedy, yeah. The people that are upset, they had no problem, you know, when they were going to dig into your Venmo receipts. They had no problem when they were arming IRS agents. Although some of those IRS agents may be going to the border. You got Kristi Noem talking with Scott Bessent on that. Fingers crossed. Maybe they'll do something productive. I won't hold my breath. But the same people that are yelling about auditing the government had no problem auditing you. It's weird, right? So yesterday in the White House, you had an executive order is being signed, a DOJ-inspired executive order with this new hiring ratio. And it reminds me a lot of what they were going to do with regulations. You know, you add one regulation, you cut 10. But this order instructs Russ Vought, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, to develop and implement a new plan under which most agencies can hire just one new employee for every 4 employees who depart, drastically shrinking the size of government, which it's what we need. Everybody understands that. Everyone understands that. Even the people that are yelling that this is a bad idea, they understand that as well. Maybe they don't want to piss off their donors or shadowy figures behind the curtain. Who knows? But everybody understands this. So that executive order turned into a massive press conference with Elon Musk inside the White House. And Elon was asked if this is a non-transparent, hostile takeover of the government. That's what he was asked.
Nobody was quiet? Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
I have to what?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I love your detractors. He goes, I have what? I have detractors?
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted, we have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We've won the House, we won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what the people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for.
Promises made, promises kept under Donald Trump. Deal with it. Honestly. And they say it's a non-transparent, hostile takeover of the government. Meanwhile, this morning, happening right now, a DOJ subcommittee hearing on the war on waste, which we will be bringing you relevant audio from very, very soon. It's so non-transparent, this hostile takeover of government, the hostile takeover that the overwhelming majority of Americans voted for. Weird. But the press conference was awesome. At one point, Trump asked Elon, "Hey, tell me about some of the crazy things that you found, especially maybe when it comes to people's salaries and versus their net worth."
The things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about $30 million,
right,
etc.
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position.
Well, there's nothing weird about that. You get a good savings account with a good interest rate, you too could turn a six-figure salary into millions of dollars in savings, right? Paul Winkler hasn't explained that to me yet, but I'm sure that that's going to be our next lesson. Just a good savings account, a good stockbroker, you can do pretty much anything. And he's talking about the bureaucrats. I think we should look at members of Congress too. I mean, let's look at some of these people. Nancy Pelosi. Annual salary, $220,000. Net worth, $202 million. It's just a good savings account. Just some good interest rates. It's not limited to just Democrats either, right? There's shadowy figures on both sides. Mitch McConnell, annual salary, $200,000. Net worth, $95 million. Nothing to worry about. This is just good financial planning. Chuck Schumer, annual salary, $210,000. Net worth, $75 million. Elizabeth Warren, she's been yelling a lot lately. Annual salary, $285,000. Net worth, $67 million. I'm sure that this is all on the up and up.
Which is, what happened to USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But just there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that. Eric Trump said something similar to that just the other night. It's like you're saying the quiet part out loud, that not only should we look into this, but we should do an investigation and follow the money to its conclusion.
I want them to follow that money, right? Because it's more than, again, the shrimp dancing on the treadmill. It's more than the $50 million for the condoms to Gaza. I want them to follow those purchase orders and actually see if any of those products actually got delivered, right? People need to go to jail for some of this reckless spending. It's
insane. People do need to go to jail for some of this reckless spending. Do you think that you would get away with that at your job? I wouldn't get away with that at my job. None of us would. Honestly. You have to be very, very careful with your spending. And I do some stuff at Turning Point USA, meticulously cataloged. Meticulously. But here, it seems like they don't seem to care at all what's on the spending orders, what's in the comments section. Even if people are on the do not pay list, it doesn't seem to bother them at all.
That's the honest truth of it. So, we're looking at, if you look at, say Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently.
Which is insane, all right? It's insane. Again, have you ever filed an expense report? I'm sure that a lot of people in the listening audience have filed an expense report. If you haven't, it's awful, and you're lucky. Just be perfectly clear. But you have to meticulously catalog. What department was this for? Why did you use it? Where did you go? Was this approved? Who approved it? But these spending orders, they don't have anything in the comment section. They don't have any of that stuff filled out. And it's with taxpayer-funded dollars. Don't you think that they should be a little bit more critical and careful and meticulous with how they catalog this? Yeah, you would think. But nobody seems to mind.
So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation, can take up to a year to get on the list. And even once on the list is not used.
Weird.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But it sounds like they might be cooking the books, right? Does it sound like that to you? I don't know. 615-737-9986. Sounds like to me that they could be cooking the books. But Elon, we're cutting off so much U.S. aid, USAID. We're hurting people all over the world. What about the $50 million in condoms to Mozambique? You know, they asked him about the Mozambique condoms.
$200 billion a year. Serious money.
Mr. Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, it apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct?
So I like that this reporter brought this up. Fact check them, right? Like, let's keep the transparency happening. If you get something wrong, call them out on it. It was Gaza and Mozambique that we sent $50 million in condoms to. Again, is that something that you're for, or are you pro $50 million in condoms to Mozambique?
We can't trust what you say.
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes.
Liz, I love that answer. Yeah, we're not going to bat 1,000. We're going to be wrong, but this is a learning process, right? And we'll own those mistakes when we make them. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms when you think about it. Yeah, honestly. Like, it was $50 million of condoms to Mozambique. Does that change anything about how you feel they're spending your tax dollars? Honestly, it doesn't for me. It doesn't for me at all. Let it be Gaza. Let it be Mozambique. I still don't want $50 million of taxpayer money going out the door for condoms for a foreign country when we have American citizens living in tents in Western North Carolina. This should be day one stuff. Like, this isn't hard. Mr. Musk, it was actually $50 million of condoms to Mozambique. Gotcha. It's like, okay. I still don't want to spend that money. I still don't. Weird how that works out. They had a lot more weird stuff. Social Security came up. Turns out there's a lot of 150-year-olds in America that are getting Social Security checks.
There's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't know. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. That's a case where, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous. One of the two.
Yeah, listen, this is the kind of stuff they might air the Mozambique clip where Elon says, yeah, we'll get stuff wrong, and they'll chop that. Elon Musk admits that he's getting things wrong. But they won't air the 150-year-old receiving Social Security checks, right? The media will manipulate this. Make no mistake about it. But you got to watch this whole thing for yourself. There's a lot more weird. Wait till you find out how you retire in the U.S. government and what it has to do with Iron Mountain. It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A Nashville high school senior arrested at school for something that was inside his glove box. And one of the 5 men who ambushed a Nashville restaurant on Sunday has now been arrested. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Smart Money says it was more than Cheez-Its in the glove box, Jen.
Probably, yep.
All right. Elon Musk having a massive press conference yesterday in the Oval Office with Donald Trump and his son, Little X, at times sitting on his shoulder, at times mimicking his dad's hand motions, at times leaning on the desk because he just looked tired of the whole thing. And I think a lot of Americans are tired of this whole thing, too. You're hearing about the waste. You're hearing about the abuse. You're hearing about the potential fraud. And you're like, guys, how has nobody looked at this before? Elon Musk even revealing that retirement paperwork processing is actually going on in a limestone mine in Pennsylvania by hand. And there are 700 people that do this job. And it takes so long that they can only process 10,000 retirements per month.
The most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, whoa, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955.
Government, the best example of efficiency we've ever had, right?
So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire. Doesn't that sound crazy?
It sounds insane. All right, so Elon Musk saying the maximum amount of people who can retire, 10,000 a month. The paperwork is done manually in an old limestone mine in Pennsylvania. The mine in question is actually titled Iron Mountain. Iron Mountain. They say the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. Iron Mountain is 330,000 square foot data center, more than 200 feet deep. It uses a 35-acre underground reservoir to create a geothermal cooling system. A report from 2021 reveals that the government tried and subsequently failed to digitize this process for decades. Imagine how much money went into that, trying to fix it before they failed. Well, it was about $106 million. And $106 million later, after failing to do so, the government said, well, we'll keep doing it by hand. Nice. That's cool. That's solid. That's your tax dollars at work.
I wonder if those people get like hazard pay for going down that elevator into that mine.
Yeah, iron. Do they get black lung down there?
Yeah.
Paper cuts.
I laugh, right?
Paper cuts and black lung. Billions and billions in dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse, says Donald Trump.
Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons I got elected. I say we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. We want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges because that's a very serious, I think it's a very serious violation.
Yeah, maybe we got to look at the judges. Funny enough, internet sleuths looking at the judges. The swamp is deep. One of the activist judges that's blocking Trump's agenda, Judge John Bates. Coincidentally, his wife is the founder of a USAID-funded NGO.
Huh.
Carol Rees, she's a Democrat lawyer who started Hope for Children in Ethiopia, a longtime USAID grant recipient. Isn't that weird? What a coincidence. Elon Musk responded to that tweet. I bet that very little, maybe none of that money actually reached kids in Ethiopia. The nature of the NGO scam is to have a cause that sounds philanthropic, like Save the Orphans of Sadville. And then they pocket the money and 0 actual orphans are helped. Have seen this many, many times. Yep. Not shocked. Are you shocked? Of course not. There's a DOJ subcommittee hearing going on right now on government reform and waste cuts. We'll bring you some of that audio on the way. 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 44 degrees right now, still dealing with that fog and mist this morning. In fact, there is no sun today. We're getting more wet weather, too, according to Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro.
We'll have a better scattering of rain showers as we head through the afternoon and into this evening. Yes, to some heavier downpours. It's not going to be as widespread of a drenching rainfall as it was through yesterday, but any downpours could cause ponding on roadways, flooding in poor drainage areas.
And he says thunderstorms on Saturday could introduce some more severe weather. Metro Nashville School Board voted unanimously last night to approve and start the process of getting weapons detection systems installed in every Metro high school. These are the Evolve systems that were being tested at Antioch High School after the deadly shooting there. But that system does have some limitations.
To be clear, we know this isn't a perfect solution to every challenge we face when it comes to keeping our schools safe. It is, once again, meant to be a part of a multi-layered approach to safety.
Superintendent Adrian Battle there, who says the detectors will cost about $1.25 million a year. Now, board members say they're taking action as early as this morning, and they'll start the process of getting funding and planning installations. A high school senior at Nashville's Hunters Lane High School was arrested for carrying a weapon on school property. School administrators found a loaded handgun and 5 magazines in the glove box of the car. Police saying that the car matched the description of one that was seen during an attempted break-in into vehicles last week at an after-school basketball game. 18-year-old Christopher Hayes was taken into custody by school resource officers. His bond set at $1,500. One of the 5 armed men who ambushed a South Nashville restaurant Sunday has now been arrested. Customers and employees tell police that the men wearing masks rifled through customers' pockets and took their cell phones. One of the men allegedly fired a shot through the cash register to open it, but then had to use a crowbar to remove the cash register. 23-year-old Mario Martinez Chavez has been caught after a brief chase. He's being detained at Metro Jail. No word on Martinez Chavez's immigration status. That is the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
If a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command the attorney general and how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. The word legitimate is doing a lot of work here, but we do know that judges do get to say whether the executive is complying with the law or not. That's been the case for decades, hundreds of years.
Well, I think there's a difference between saying whether you're complying with the law and then you have these individual district court judges setting effectively broad federal policy that is specifically reserved for the president of the United States. I think we do have a constitutional crisis, and it's being caused by these judges. They're not here to tell us. They're not here to tell us how to spend the money. They're not here to set broad federal policy. That is the president's job as elected by the people. These judges are supposed to be settling discrete, specific matters, not policy setting. I think Vance is right. I think Trump has a point. And these judges want nothing more to continue the lawfare against Trump.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Judges continuing lawfare against Donald Trump. I mentioned a moment ago, one of the activist judges blocking Trump's agenda, Judge John Bates, married to the founder of a USAID-funded NGO. Weird. His wife, Carol Reese, Democrat lawyer, who started Hope for Children in Ethiopia, a longtime USAID grant recipient. No word on if hope has risen for those children since that NGO was started. But we'll keep digging. We got a DOJ subcommittee going on right now, the war on waste. We also soon will have a Tulsi Gabbard Senate confirmation vote. It has been a busy couple of days here in Washington. It's been a busy few weeks. It's been absolutely insane. Let's not beat around the bush. I mean, if you blink, you miss some of the biggest stories. That's how crazy it's been. But we have activist judges blocking the Trump administration any opportunity they get, and deal with it. They keep saying this is a constitutional crisis, what Donald Trump is doing. And you can see it. If you Google constitutional crisis and hit news, it's like every major news source in the country is using the term constitutional crisis. It's a constitutional crisis. Jesse Waters had a great segment last night where he pointed out that this is the exact same thing that they used.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin.
Weeks in, but I mean, just going down the line, NPR. There could be a constitutional crisis if Trump starts ignoring court orders, okay? Opinion for Wall Street Journal. Is there a constitutional crisis? The New York Times. Trump's actions have created a constitutional crisis, scholars say. CNN. Analysis. As Trump team overhauls government, a constitutional crisis looms. It's just over and over and over again. It's like, oh, you guys got your talking points now. All right. You decided on what the focus is going to be. We've locked in on constitutional crisis. That's where we are at in the media echo chamber. It's a constitutional crisis. Everybody got that? Everybody has their talking points. Constitutional crisis. Steve in the borough wants to talk about Elon Musk and the spending that's going on. What's up, Steve?
Yeah, how you doing this morning? Hey, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about the situation. I don't know if you heard about it, the situation that went on in New York, and they need to find out who these people are and place them under arrest, or they definitely need to be losing out. The $59 million that Elon found out that's still being spent on illegal immigrants in New York City, $700 a night hotel rooms on people that are in the country illegally. And just like you said, you got people that's in North Carolina that's living out in the cold because Joe Biden didn't do his job after the hurricane that went through North Carolina. And they continue to take care of these illegals. It's just disgusting that they're going behind Donald Trump's back and still sending this $59 million worth of hotel payments that went out in the last couple of weeks to take care of people that are in the country. It's appalling, and all the other spending that's going on. You know, there's a reason why Maxine Waters, the ugliest woman I've ever seen probably on planet Earth besides Michelle Obama, there's a reason why Maxine Waters, I don't know if you saw the way that she assaulted that guy at the school administration on Friday.
Yeah, the
she
security
was
guard.
Literally threatening that man, who is your boss? who do you work for? What is your name? We're going to have you lose your job.
Yep.
And then she's calling out Elon Musk using profanity. You know, Elon, we're looking for your ass. Where you at? Maxine Waters is a disgrace to Congress and to Washington, D.C., and she ought to be run out of town because she's nothing but a crook. I have friends that stay in California, and they have told me about the district that she's in control of. All she does is steal money from the people that in her district that she's in charge of in Congress. She does absolutely nothing for the people in California, and she's nothing but a crook. And I hope that Elon Musk goes after her and finds out everything that her and Pelosi and all these Democrats have been doing for the last 4 years, which is stealing money from the Americans and bring justice. So what'd you say?
I'm with you, man. A couple things. One, I mean, they're absolutely inciting violence. Elon had to change travel plans. He was going to go to Florida for a conference, but he couldn't because of security concerns. Like, he has a target on his back. This rhetoric is not helping that. On the FEMA front, with the $59 million that were approved and sent to New York City to house and care for illegal aliens, 4 FEMA employees, including a top-level executive, have been fired for doing that. So the justice came, and it was swift. They said effective immediately, FEMA is terminating the employment of 4 individuals for circumventing leadership to unilaterally make egregious payments for luxury New York City hotels for migrants, DHS officials said in a statement obtained by the New York Post. So they're out of there. They learned very quick, when you F around, you find out.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me know that, because that's uncalled for to give this type of money to people that are in the country illegally. And any other money that's found to be given away, these people should be prosecuted because Elon Musk and Donald Trump are not playing games. And I want to say one other thing about Elon. You know, people like, Maxine Waters are talking about Elon Musk wasn't elected. She said that on Friday. Nobody elected him in the White House. No, he wasn't elected, but Donald Trump appointed him to go into the White House and find out what kind of money has been diverted and stolen and things that are being spent on, like you said, condoms and the Mozambique and all this other stuff. Elon Musk, he's not the richest man in the world for nothing.
Yep.
And Elon Musk is going to find out what these Democrats have been doing for the last 4 years. And anybody that's been held accountable will be out of work, and they may even go to jail. That's exactly what.
And I loved that. Yeah, man, of course, I loved that. They said, well, they weren't actually to Gaza. They were to the Gaza district in Mozambique. $50 million in condoms. Does that change your opinion on sending $50 million of condoms anywhere? It doesn't change mine. Meanwhile, yeah, Elon wasn't elected. They campaigned for months promising he would do exactly what he's doing currently, which I know maybe that shocks people. Campaign promises being kept. That's Donald Trump for you. And we have judges, activist judges, lawfare, trying to slow him down right now. Attorney General Pam Bondi on the unelected judges who are getting in Trump's way.
We have so many unelected judges who are trying to control government spending, and there is a clear separation of powers. You know, they're doing it to Elon Musk, who is a great man and a good friend at Doge. What they're doing to him is to our country is outrageous. You know, people work their whole lives and pay taxes, yet they find out that they've been giving $2 million to Guatemala for sex changes. It's outrageous, and it's going to stop. We're going to fight back, not only with U.S. aid and all these other agencies, but, you know, this is happening every day. But DOJ, we are prepared to defend all of these cases, and we will carry out President Trump's agenda.
I mean, it sounds like the team behind Donald Trump, they're not wavering. They're not nervous. They were ready for this fight, and I'm here for it, man. Rick in Columbia wants to talk about the libs crying. What's up, Rick?
Chris, you knock it out of the park every day, pal.
Man, I appreciate you, Rick.
Listen, quick statement, I'll hang up for your response. Chris, it appears to me, since Mr. Trump returned to the White House, that all these whacked-out Democratic leaders, along with their propaganda mainstream media, seems like they just overnight have become irrelevant. Right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I'm with you. They're definitely irrelevant, and you've seen that in the numbers and the trailing out of mainstream media for a while. They've definitely lost their stranglehold. But I don't know. I think the majority of Democrats are handling this all pretty well.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Like nobody's having a mental breakdown.
Which side are you on?
They're staying pretty sane through all of this, right?
Fight against Joe.
I mean, they're a little off key.
Elon Musk. No Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk.
I would have said dusk till dawn. That's just personally, not a songwriter.
Well, they need their naps in the evening.
I also have a friend that produces music, and I sent him that link. I said, "Can you turn this into a club banger?" so hopefully, hopefully we can. Hopefully, I don't know how quickly you could turn it around, but it's part of my dream for this audience.
Oh, which side?
Can you imagine with the Sorry. Craig in Chapel Hill wants to talk about the funding. Where's the funding going, Craig? What do you got?
What's up there, Mr. Hand? It's crazy. This funding that is just being blown out of the water. And, I was on the phone this morning with the office of Congressman Andy Ogles, and, which I'm a public official in my little small town. But one of the biggest things that, we're trying to find is find money for emergency services. And, as we're watching the big cities come towards our smaller towns, we're having harder and harder issues. And, we can save some of the federal tax dollars. Maybe they can send it our way to, help us out. When we send ambulance personnel out and we're short-handed, it makes it kind of tough. But, maybe we cut out those sex changes and those $50 million rubbers and send them to, our small town.
What you should do is, in your request, instead of saying you need a new ambulance, you should say that you need money for the orphans in Sadville and create an NGO, and then you'll get millions upon millions of dollars.
What we may need to do is put a condom machine on our ambulances, and that way we can get $50 million.
Yes, you tell them that your condom distribution. You're no longer helping people that are hurt, and you need a new condom distribution vehicle.
And I loved Elon's text earlier this morning. He changed his name, and CNN was having a total come apart about it.
Yes.
He named himself Harry Balls, so I was going to see if he could play some AC/DC, Big Balls. So we'll get really rocking and rolling. But we've really got people on their heels. But it is an eye-opening thing that this has been going on for many, many moons, many, many years, and people need to open their eyes and look at their bank accounts and see just really how terrible government has become. I don't care, if you like Trump, you don't like Trump. But again, this right here is just somebody needs to go to jail over this stuff.
Yeah, this is the thing that blows my mind. It's like, I understand that Democrats and people on the left don't like Trump, but do you like your tax dollars going overseas when Americans are hurting? Like there are Democrats that are hurting in Western North Carolina. There are Democrats that are hurting in California for sure. There are Democrats that are hurting in Lahaina. There are Democrats that are hurting in Eastern Tennessee. I want to make it life better for all Americans, regardless of political affiliation, and stop sending millions of dollars for transgender comic books in Peru or to help facilitate opium farming in Afghanistan. That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
Well, and I tell you another thing that I've noticed is the government does not want to change their programs around. And, I think Elon made a great point is some of those programs or how they do our checks and balances, they became so obsolete. They do not want to change anything because they know it's going to cost money. If it costs money, then it takes away from their pet programs. And when you don't change with the times, then you get behind. And this is what, we've led up to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I appreciate the call, Craig. Thank you so much, man. Craig mentioned how CNN's been handling some of this. And we played this during the crisscross on Nashville's Morning News. But the people over at CNN, I agree with Savannah Hernandez. She posted this video and said she thinks the CEO at CNN is putting them through a humiliation ritual, having to cover some of the stuff that they have to cover. Because you do know that Dana Bash doesn't write her own scripts, right? This is something that I think a lot of people do need to understand. On the panel shows, you could probably get away with a little bit more freedom. But Dana Bash, when she's sitting there in a desk, she's reading a teleprompter. She didn't input any of the lines into the teleprompter. Somebody did that for her, and they decided to have her read this.
Now, the disruptor-in-chief, Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls.
That's the worldwide leader in news. For the record, It was spelled B-O-L-Z. It was Bowles.
Yeah, got to say it right.
Bowles. Harry Bowles. It's 1021 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Getting the government out of your life is always a good idea, especially when it comes to health insurance. You need to talk to my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. Shane can get you the best price on health insurance, no matter your income level, no matter your health status. He's got you hooked up. With over 20 years of experience in health insurance, he'll shop the entire market for you. He's got over 75 different companies to shop from, every type of plan available in the market. He can absolutely save you some money. Some of his plans will easily save you 30 to 60% on your monthly premiums, and some of the plans will even pay you when you use them. If you think it sounds too good to be true, Shane will explain it for you. He's going to do a lot better job than I can. And he can do it very, very quickly. Give him a call today, 615-465-0023. Ask for Shane Ring at Cover Nash. Tell him Chris Hand sent you. CoverNash.com, 615-465-0023. Book an appointment today with Shane Ring. Get a quality health plan managed by you, not the government. CoverNash.com.
The work to install weapons detection machines in Nashville high schools gets underway this morning, and why a mother and her son were arrested in a major operation in Nashville yesterday. Those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 26 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Our show, as always, brought to you by our great friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You know the deal.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
BetterWater.com. So Elon Musk and the Doge team, they're getting that coverage on CNN.
Director-in-Chief Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls.
It's going to make me laugh for years. When I'm an old man, my grandkids will be sitting on my lap this week. Grandpa, what did you do during the second Trump administration? I'll say, well, kids, I was on the radio, and I played clips like this.
Now, the disruptor-in-chief, Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls.
my grandkids are going to look at me and go, based. No, I kid, all right? CNN does do some reporting sometimes. They had National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett on to talk about the success of Doge, which is kind of shocking that they allowed this to air on CNN.
Because what happened in the Biden administration is cabinet agencies all over the government would tell the Treasury to pay stuff, and then the Treasury would pay it without inspection. And the point is that there are still some things that they're supposed to communicate to the Treasury before the Treasury cuts the check, and those things weren't given to the Treasury even. And so what we're doing is we're unwinding it all the way back to, but you're right, in the end, there's somebody somewhere in some other agency that's deciding to tell the Treasury to send money to someone who they don't say who it is and they don't say why they're spending it. And we're totally getting on top of that. And everybody's like, oh, Doge is controlling the Treasury. Again, I don't think there are more than a handful of people at Treasury who are just helping us. They have read-only access to the data. They're just looking at the data, trying to find what's been going wrong
and help them fix it. And it's also important to point out that Scott Bessent, Treasury Director himself, said there are U.S. Treasury employees digging in with them. Now, and I pointed that example out, but it's definitely in the minority. Most of what you get from CNN is stuff like this. Anderson Cooper saying that Elon Musk actually hasn't given any evidence that Doge has uncovered any fraud or abuse.
We begin tonight, keeping them honest, with the extraordinary claims of government fraud by the president and similar claims of maximal transparency by Elon Musk, but little evidence of either to back it up.
Yeah, well, they're actually having a Doge subcommittee hearing now outlining all of the expenses. But I think, to me, the biggest thing about the fraud and the money being spent is the lack of information on the checks going out.
If you look at, say Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently.
Which is insane. Anybody that's worked at any kind of company that's ever done an expense report, ever looked at a budget, you understand that these things have to happen, even at very, very low-level businesses, but it's not happening in the federal government. And they're still sending the checks out. Oh, okay. So when Anderson Cooper says...
Again tonight, keeping them honest, with the extraordinary claims of government fraud by the president and similar claims of maximal transparency by Elon Musk, but little evidence of either to back it up.
You can just say that there's no evidence of what those checks were even being used for by design.
So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation. It can take up to a year to get on the list, and even once on the list is not used.
But again, let's trust Anderson Cooper. Says there's no evidence to back up anything he's saying. Okay. Sure, dude. Sure. Got it. This is why your ratings are in the toilet. This is why SpongeBob beats you guys on a regular basis. Robert and Tom will get to your calls next. It is 10:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Metro Nashville School Board members say they're getting to work this morning, funding and planning for the installation of Evolve weapons detection systems in every Metro high school. Last night, the board voted unanimously for the Evolve systems. Parents, they had their say last night, too.
It's not really reducing danger. There's lots of ways that a person who's determined to do harm can get around a weapon detection system.
You can ask any parent how much are they willing to spend to save their children's life, and I guarantee you they'll tell you every penny.
Evolve detectors use low-frequency radio waves to detect metal objects like weapons, but the company admits that when those machines are set to the highest detection levels, they slow down the screening process. Among the 8 people, Tren de Aragua gang members who were arrested yesterday for sex slavery in 2 states are a mother and son team right here in the Nashville suburbs. Fox 17's Karen Aguilar reports.
Venezuelans Yolibeth del Carmen Rivero de Caldera and her son Cleaver Daniel Mota Rivero are now under arrest, accused of trapping these women in a life of misery. Investigators say they use their Tren de Aragua ties to scare the women into commercial sex and exploitation. They and 6 others are facing human trafficking charges for an operation beginning in 2022.
Now, the women were forced into sex slavery. They would have to continue performing sex acts even after the debt for coming to the U.S. was paid off. A man reports being attacked by a stranger with a machete in Madison yesterday. That man showed up at the Metro Nashville Police Precinct in Madison just after 2:30 in the morning yesterday. He was suffering with cuts on both of his hands. He told officers that he was with 2 friends in the parking lot of the Plaza Chapina on Gallatin Pike when the attacker approached. The victim wrestled the machete away from the man, but that suspect ran off. That's the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Appreciate you, Joan. 33 minutes past the hour. Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock Store. February all month long. Perfect opportunity for you to get a date night, 2-for-1 shooting at the Glock Store. Listen, it's February, time to aim for the heart. Nothing says love like 2-for-1 shooting at the Glock Store. And all month long, you book a couple session at shoot270.com. And when you show up, you mention my name, and it's 2 shooters for the price of 1. I got a DM on Twitter. This guy said, hey, I couldn't find the deal online. I said, well, you got to know a guy that knows a guy, and you know me, and I know Lenny McGill at the Glock Store. So you mention my name when you get there, and they knock the price down for you. That's how it works. Book your session today at shoot270.com. This is not a lane range where you're between strangers shooting. You're in a private room with a personal instructor. No matter your level, you'll finish the session better and more confident than when you started. 2 shooters for the price of 1. Shoot270.com. Mention my name all February long, only at the Glock Store.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
this other thing about Elon. Elon's going to steal everybody's money. He has $400 billion. I'm telling you, he's not going to steal your money. I'm telling you, that's not what he's doing. What he's doing is he's a super genius that's been f***ed with, okay? And when you've been f***ed with by these nitwits that hide behind three-letter agencies, and you're dealing with one of the smartest people alive, and he helps Donald Trump get into office, and he goes, I want to find out what kind of corruption is really around. Well, you f***ed up. You f***ed up and picked the wrong psychopath on the spectrum because he's gonna hunt you down. He's gonna find out what's going on, and that's good. That's good for everybody. That's how you should be looking at this. Like, wow, we have a brilliant mind that is examining these really f***ing corrupt and goofy systems and bringing in a bunch of psychopath wizards.
I love that. Joe Rogan, you messed with the wrong psychopath on the spectrum, and he's coming in with a gang of psychopath wizards. I love it. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 38 minutes past the hour. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We do have a bit of breaking news, my friends. Mason, hit the fancy breaking news sounder that we only break this out on special occasions. Only on the special ones. Oh, it's not. We don't have the one where it goes, this is breaking news. Do you know what I'm talking about? Come on, we got to set the scene. We got to do it right. This one's pretty good. But it's not the other one. You know what I mean? Like the full voice guy. Yeah, there
This is a breaking news update on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Breaking news, Tulsi Gabbard is confirmed as the Director of National Intelligence.
That's awesome.
Whew.
That's awesome. Took them long enough.
Honestly, they delayed those votes as long as they could.
Time.
So one of the big three is now in. RFK, Kash Patel on deck. This is my favorite thing about the Trump administration so far. We haven't even seen its final form yet.
Yeah, we're not even at full capacity.
We're not even at full strength.
Wild.
We're not even at full strength.
Wild.
Get bent, deep state. And guess what? Do you think Tulsi Gabbard will also bring with her?
And bringing in a bunch of psychopath wizards.
Do you think she'll bring psychopath wizards as well? Or is that just an Elon thing? One can only hope. One can only hope. We've been talking a lot about Elon Musk today. Robert in Nashville wants to talk about that. You're up next. Thanks for holding, Rob. What's up, man?
Hey, how are you, Chris?
I'm good. What do you got?
Just worried about all these judges. We haven't talked in a while, and the last time I was in on your show, I was concerned about the number of judges that the Biden administration was confirming. I don't know if you'll remember that far back or not. He quietly, and again, the media didn't report on this, confirmed more judges than Trump did his first term, and people don't realize that. And you're starting to see the fruits of their labor on that here. Now, I know we all think that the Democrats or the Three Stooges or the Keystone Cops or whoever, and they're rudderless and they have no message and all the other stuff. I think at this point they're going to use lawfare to slow Trump's administration down. And while we think they have no message on the other side and we're not really paying attention, they are loading up for bear in the midterms. If they can get a hold, and they've already started it, if you go back and look at kind of some of the election cycles for the Senate and rep seats in Arizona and Nevada, and then look at who won those states, go back, get a statistician to talk to you about voting split ticket. It doesn't happen as much as it occurred in this election. So I think they already monkeyed around with that. We have a very razor-thin lead in the House right now, and I think that's what they're targeting. They're going to use lawfare to slow Trump's agenda down until the midterms, and I think they're loading up for bear to take over and then really just shut them down.
Yeah, but who do you throw that out to you? What voters do you think they're winning over right now with the lawfare? Like what voters do you think they're winning over with the messaging that they have?
Do you think they care? None. But do you think they care?
I mean, you're still gonna have to win elections, though, and you have a team in place that's really going to be focused on like election integrity and security. I think that what we saw with the RNC the last time around, we have a different process right now. We have a different ground game. I'm not as nervous about the midterms as I am, as it sounds like you are.
Remember the red wave, so-called, a few years back?
Yeah, and I also remember Lindsey Graham trying to shoehorn in an abortion ban right before that, and that was their one issue that they were mobilized behind. I think that it was different times. It was just I think things have changed a lot.
I hope you're right.
Drastically, very quickly.
Really, really hope you're right on that, but just keep an eye on that. I suspect you're going to see more and more lawfare coming up on all this with all those judges. So
I definitely agree with lawfare, and I think that's coming. I think that the Trump administration is going to be able to outmaneuver them. Pam Bondi is ready to go. They already outmaneuvered a federal judge about the bankrolling luxury hotels for criminal illegal aliens and gangs. They're winning. We're winning so much, and the Democrats are so spread apart and so spread so thin. They don't know where to focus. I'm not as worried about the midterms currently, and maybe that'll change the closer we get to it. But I'm not stressed right now.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate everything you do out there, and your daughter does a great job on your show.
Oh, thank you.
Give her own show this summer.
I'm with you.
It's awesome.
Yeah, we should give her a podcast.
Hey, yeah. Have a great day, man. Thanks.
Hey, I appreciate you, Rob. Thanks, man. Listen, I'll tell you why I don't worry about the Democrats too much. Because they're insane. They're just insane, and they're focused on issues that I don't think the American people are truly worried about. Last night, Worcester, Massachusetts. I know Worcester very well. It looks like it's spelled Worcester. It is Worcester. Worcester, Massachusetts last night voted to become a sanctuary city for transgender and gender diverse people.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yeah, wrap it up. Wrap it up. These people are insane. Their priorities are messed up. They're backwards, completely backwards. And it's like Scott Jennings nailed it. Trump is on the 80 side of every 80-20 issue. The Democrats take the 20. And you see it time and time again. Worcester, Massachusetts, becoming a sanctuary city for transgender and gender diverse people. What does that even mean?
Yes, I can. If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
So that just threats and insanity coming from the left. No plans on how to make the country better for the American people. Just Elon bad, Orange Man bad. Look out for trans people. If you don't protect trans people, they're going to come after you. They have nothing to run on.
I'm shaking right now.
Me too.
I don't want to be here.
Well, then leave. Yeah, wrap it up, B.
I'm sorry. Am I taking too long pleading for my life?
Yes. You're fine. You are totally safe. Nobody's going to hurt you. Move along, ma'am? Ma'am?
You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
That's like statistically one of the craziest things that could ever happen. It's statistically more likely that if you have 2 trans kids that you're suffering from Munchausen syndrome, statistically speaking.
I speak as both the B and the T.
Okay, all right. That's Worcester, Massachusetts. This is the Democrats currently. No, I'm not worried about midterms right now. Personally. Tom in Manchester wants to talk about USAID. What's up, Tom? Thanks for calling the show, man.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Hope you're doing well.
Likewise, sir. How we doing?
Thank you. I agree with everything you're saying. My concern is that idiots like Maxine Waters are such low-hanging fruit that we choose to focus on people like that. And, yes, they are the problem. I've often said that if you vote Republican or conservative, it doesn't make you righteous. But if you vote Democrat, you're definitely unrighteous. But we have a lot of problems on the Republican side also.
Yeah.
USAID has been around since JFK.
Yep.
I think it was 1961 or something like that. Yeah, maybe Trump didn't have the backing to be able to do what he's doing now, but this has been going on for a long time. Our Republican representatives have been getting filthy rich just as much as our Democrat.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, Mitch McConnell has a $200,000 annual salary and a $95 million net worth. Yep, like
let's
you nailed
take
it.
it even closer to home. Marsha Blackburn had a net worth of $200,000 or $300,000 not too long ago, and now she has a $41 million net worth.
Isn't that weird? And in 2023, she got the largest big pharma donations for anybody on the Republican side.
Right, and yet we only want to focus on the idiot Democrats.
So I mean, I think there's two things at play here. I think that you have people on the Trump team like Pam Bondi, Elon Musk, looking for the critical stuff, and then on my side, like we're in the middle of a culture war, right? Like we have to expose the absurdity of the left because it makes it makes them like lepers. Like nobody's going to want to be on that side any longer. Like you hear what's happening in Worcester, Massachusetts. Like yeah, we have to expose that. You hear Maxine Waters acting insane. Yes, we have to expose that because it mocking them is actually there's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of value in that.
You. And it's a lot of fun, too. Come on, tell the truth.
Amen. As I was saying earlier, I said, my grandkids are going to be like, what were you doing during Trump's second term? And I'm going to be like, well, see, in Worcester, Massachusetts, they decided to become a transgender sanctuary city. So I played that audio.
In the LGBT.
I'm multiply disabled. I have.
Okay. They're going to say based. I don't know how you get multiply disabled, but that's the modern day left for you. I'm not worried about them. I appreciate the call, Tom. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. The multiply disabled at the Worcester, Massachusetts sanctuary city for transgender and gender diverse people vote.
I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that causes me immense physical pain.
That sucks.
I'm on the autism spectrum.
That tracks.
And I have narcolepsy, and I couldn't drive myself here, so I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do in drag.
She said I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do. If you looked at this individual, you'd understand why that's not easy. You'd understand.
I do not want to be here. It's my day off. Oh. I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me. I want you to listen to me.
I mean, this is the modern day left. Do you feel like they're a threat? I don't feel like they're much of a threat currently, the way they stand. You have the insanity from their base, and then you have the insanity from their elected officials. They don't really strike fear into me at all. I think that they're hurting themselves the more they go down this path. Meanwhile, you have Elon Musk exposing all of the fraud, all of the waste, all of the abuse happening at massive scales across the federal government. And we're supposed to think that this is a bad thing. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is still the Elon Musk press conference could fill a whole show. But there was so much more that happened yesterday. You had a hostage released for nothing, which we'll cover in a minute. And you also had King Abdullah of Jordan agreeing to take Palestinians while they rebuild Gaza. This man doesn't stop. He's working for you non-stop. And I think that the majority of the American people see this, and they see the insane rhetoric from the left, and they go, I'm not really a fan of that. Even if I don't like Orange Man, I'm not signing up for that. That's where we're at currently in 2025. On the way, I did mention Mark Fogel, released from a Russian prison for nothing. We'll talk about that when we get back. Plus, we'll go through the last few hostage exchanges that we had under Joe Biden, where we gave up everything. Everything. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to get Americans back, but you can absolutely make the case that Trump is a master negotiator, without a doubt. We'll talk about it next. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Tulsi Gabbard confirmed. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth addresses NATO, and inflation is going in the wrong direction. Details at 11 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 10:57 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, Water Filtration Systems, BetterWater.com. Mark Fogel, released from a Russian prison. Yesterday was insane. This is just another example of how insane it was. Mark Fogel. He's home. He's home. Trump made that promise to his mother right before he almost had his head blown off. And he didn't forget that promise. Promises made, promises kept. Donald J. Trump returning an American home. Now, if you're looking for what we gave up, well, I can tell you it wasn't $6 billion in Iranian oil revenues. I can tell you it wasn't Russian hitmen. No. It wasn't Palestinian prisoners. No, nothing like that. You know, that's stuff Biden used to give up. No, he gave up nothing. He just got him home. Now, a lot of people are saying maybe part of the deal was that announcement that came from Pete Hegseth regarding Ukraine.
The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission, and they should not be covered under Article 5. There also must be robust international oversight of the line of contact. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine.
I mean, hey, if that's part of the deal, I'll tell you what.
I'll make that deal. How about you, Yudovich? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
It's 11 o'clock on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Well, another one of President Trump's cabinet picks has been confirmed. Fox News says Tulsi Gabbard will be sworn in as Director of National Intelligence. And the Trump administration making it clear to Ukraine that it cannot count on the return of territory that Russia first invaded more than a decade ago. We get more from Stephen Portnoy.
At a meeting at NATO headquarters on the defense of Ukraine, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said any peace talks with Russia must be based on realistic objectives, and he called the reversal of Russia's takeover of Crimea an illusionary goal.
We must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective.
Hegseth added that NATO membership for Kyiv is similarly unrealistic. He suggested a new non-NATO peacekeeping force for Ukraine, which the U.S. wouldn't back should it come under attack.
Speaking of Russia, the United States reportedly preparing to return a cybercrime kingpin Alexander Venik to Russian custody as part of an exchange for American Mark Fogel, who was with the president last night after returning home from Russia. He had been sentenced to a 14-year prison sentence for alleged drug trafficking. Economists were anticipating a slight decline in year-over-year inflation, but instead have seen the figure rise from December to January. A major driver of surging food prices is the cost of eggs, which average nearly $5 a dozen right now, twice the price a year ago. The January Consumer Price Index is considered crucial as businesses look ahead to hiring and spending decisions for the rest of the year. Alexis Christoforous with where the Federal Reserve is trying to get to.
They did not want to see inflation moving in the wrong direction, away from the Fed's 2% target, now at 3%. So we are seeing a sell-off there, and most traders are now betting that there is a 70% chance we'll get just one interest rate cut from the Fed this year. That may come in the second half of the year. They're targeting the September Fed meeting.
Well, among the severe weather across the country, a possible tornado struck the Florida Panhandle yesterday, injuring at least 3 people.
I just screamed, "It's a tornado! Get away! You know, everybody run!"
That is Melissa Stone there in Escambia County. And as Valentine's Day approaches, a warning about scammers trying to steal more than your heart. Here's Lionel Moise.
Officials are reminding Americans, especially seniors, not to fall for romance scams, with criminals using a fake identity to gain your affection and trust before stealing from you. This month, the FBI Philadelphia field office and the U.S. Postal Service issued warnings for people not to be duped.
I'm out all that money and I don't think I'll ever get it back.
This 76-year-old moved to Georgia and was tricked into sending her life savings to a man she met online.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.1106 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand here. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. Also, you can watch us on Super Talk TV, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Like and subscribe while you're on the YouTube channel. We do appreciate it. And you listen, I always tell you, I'll tell you if I get something wrong. So upon my last research, there was no disclosure of what we had given up for Mark Fogel. After a little bit more research and some great super texters crowdsourcing that information, we actually did give up somebody. One person. They're saying it's Russian cybercrime boss Alexander Vinnik from prison in exchange for American school teacher Mark Fogel. 1-for-1 for the prisoner swap. And Vinnik had to forfeit more than $100 million to the U.S. government. This has been reported now and confirmed, and I would still like to be on record saying...
I'll make that deal. How about you, Udovich? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
I mean, honestly, and when you look at what the prisoner exchanges were under the Biden regime, yeah, that's a good deal. 1-for-1? I'd take 1-for-1. I mean, The Iran hostage release, September 2023, we had 5 U.S. citizens wrongfully detained in Iran. We gave them a waiver to facilitate the transfer of $6 billion in Iranian oil revenues from South Korea to Qatar for strictly humanitarian purposes, which some people point to as the funding mechanism for the October 7th attack, plus clemency for 5 unnamed Iranians imprisoned in the U.S. for crimes ranging from sanctions, violations, to thefts. Okay, so that's one of them. How about the Russian hostage release in August of 2024? We got 3 U.S. citizens, Evan Gorskevich, Paul Whelan, Alsu Kermashov, and release of 12 political dissidents held in Russia to Germany. And we gave up a Russian hitman serving a life sentence. We released 4 Russian illegals from Slovenia, Norway, and Poland. And we released 3 U.S.-held individuals accused of cybercrime or smuggling military-related goods. How about, remember Brittany Griner? Brittany Griner? Gave up a lot for her, too. I still take that deal. I take that deal any day of the week. 1 for 1. 1 for 1? Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Senator Mark Rubio, former Senator Mark Rubio, now Secretary of State Mark Rubio, discussing the release of Mark Fogel last night on Fox News.
We have a great team here. Adam and his team do a great job with this, and Steve Woodcock is phenomenal, but none of this is possible without President Trump. This is the 10th American that's come home after being detained somewhere overseas in just 3 weeks in the White House. It's an extraordinary achievement. And look, this is what happens when you have a strong president, and that's what we're seeing. And look, anytime an American comes home, we should be excited about it. This is a case that languished under the Biden administration. They really didn't give it priority. I met with the family. I believe the mother got to meet President Trump at that infamous rally at Butler, right the same day the president was almost killed. And so tonight is really a happy occasion. Should be for all Americans, but certainly for Mr. Fogel and his family.
Mr. Secretary, you said 10 American hostages released. I was only aware of 7, including tonight. Tomorrow would be 8. The 6 Venezuelan hostages and the one tonight. What are the other 3?
We've got a couple we can introduce. We have somebody in Anastasia that was actually brought.
So it's Senator Rubio on with Hannity talking about hostage releases under Trump, but how big of a deal the Mark Fogel one is. And you may say, well, Chris, you're a homer for Trump. You're going to think anything Trump does is good. I keep saying Senator Rubio. Secretary of State, Secretary Rubio, he's obviously going to tout Trump's negotiations here and say it was amazing. They're all on the same team. Okay, perfect, fine. Michael McFaul, former U.S. ambassador to Russia under Obama, he popped up on the news last night to talk about the deal that was made, and this is on MSNBC of all places.
Hallelujah! Fantastic news. Praise be to President Donald Trump.
Again, you might say that Rubio is on Trump's team. He's going to say nice things. You might say that I'm a hack. I'm a partisan hack. I'm going to say nice things. This is the former U.S. ambassador to Russia under Obama on MSNBC saying, hallelujah, praise to Donald Trump.
Fantastic news. Praise be to President Donald Trump. That's not a phrase I get to say very often. I don't know the circumstances. I don't know the deal. We'll learn those later, and I don't care. Mark was in bad health. He was wrongfully detained for years. This is an American patriot. This is a fantastic human being. He was a teacher to one of my sons. He was an integral member of our community in Moscow when I lived there. And this is just fantastic news for anybody who cares about patriotic Americans.
I mean, you're speaking to a small bunch when you're on MSNBC. But again, this is not just the right celebrating this. That's former U.S. ambassador to Russia under Obama, Michael McFaul, saying fantastic news, hallelujah, praise be to Donald Trump. I mean, that's high praise. That is high praise. CNN had on Mark Fogel's sister, Ann, to talk about the prisoner release. And that they weren't happy about having to air this. They never want to air anything nice about Donald Trump.
My mother went to the Trump rally and saw President Trump
shortly before he was shot.
In Butler,
So
right?
it was,
In Butler, where
crazy,
she's from.
It was just a crazy turn of events. And he told her then that if he was elected, he was going to get him out. And the man was true to his word.
Promises made, promises kept. Just a staple of the Trump administration at this point. Just expect it. If Trump promises it, it's going to happen one way or another. Mark gets off the plane. He's in the U.S. I saw a photo of him on the plane that was bringing him back. He's kissing a glass of what looks like beer. Could be apple juice. I'm not sure. But this guy is overjoyed to be back. And then who welcomes him back home? At 10 o'clock at night last night, like around 10:30, he gets welcomed into the White House by none other than Donald Trump. Like, Trump had been working all day long. He had a visit from a king. He had a massive press conference with Elon. He's just nonstop, and he's still up at 10:30 to welcome home an American that's been released from Russia.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now. And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero. These men that came from the diplomatic service are heroes. The senators and representatives that passed legislation in my honor to get me home are the heroes.
And I want you to just remember Mark Fogel saying that whenever anybody goes on their soapbox to tell you Orange Man bad. Donald Trump is actually changing people's lives very, very quickly. 3 weeks in office. It has been insane.
I am in awe of what they all did. My family has been a force. I think my 95-year-old mother is probably the most dynamic 95-year-old on earth right now.
I mean, think about that. You're 95 years old. Your son is sitting in a Russian prison. The previous administration didn't even care enough to ask about him. And you think that you're going to die before you ever get to see your son again. You meet Trump at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and you say, please, please get my son out of that Russian prison. Moments later, he almost has the back of his head blown off. Think about the events that transpired since then. Insanity. And this woman now, at 95 years old, gets to welcome home her baby boy and see him at least one more time. God is good, man.
And I am so indebted to so many people. I think I remember a Churchill quote that he said when the RAF was fighting the Luftwaffe, he said that never have so many owed so much to so few. And I put myself, fortunately and unfortunately, into that category. And I said, never has one owed so much to so many. That this superorganism of people that came to my support and the love that I was given sustained me for 3.5 years in a prison that had me in hospitals for more than 100 days. I was given more than 400 injections in that time. And knowing I had the support of my fellow Pennsylvanians, my family, my friends, it was so overwhelming that it brought me to my knees and it brought me to tears, but it was my energy, it was my being that kept me going that whole time, and I will forever be indebted to President Trump, to Steve over there. What a dynamic man this guy is.
Steve Witkoff. It's just wild to see. And you've heard, we had J6 political prisoner Ronald McElby Colton on the show, and he's talking about how he's sitting in a prison rotting away during the Biden administration. Mark Fogel sitting in a prison rotting away during the Biden administration. Trump has been in office for 3 weeks, absolutely changing people's lives. And listening to this guy's voice and how he's just, he's shaken up. You can hear it. He can hardly believe it himself. I'm sure there's a couple moments he's walking around, it's like, pinch me, I was just in a Russian prison. Now I'm calling my mom on an airplane. Crazy.
That's true.
When I met him, the energy, the can-do attitude just exudes from his body. And when he smiled at me and introduced me and I got the feel for what has happened, it's not just me, it's everybody. And Secretary Rubio, who met my son a while back, I'm a middle-class school teacher who's now in a dream world.
We're going to show you the Lincoln bedroom in a little while. It's a very special place. Appropriate for tonight, I think. Very appropriate.
And thank you all. And I love our country. And I'm so happy to be back here.
What a cool moment. I mean, you go from sleeping in a Russian prison to sleeping in the Lincoln bedroom. Wild. And that's just the tip of the iceberg on the news from yesterday, man. There was so much going on. Donald Trump also having a visit from King Abdullah of Jordan. And he got him to agree to something that people thought was a pipe dream at best. He got him to agree to take Palestinians while they rebuild Gaza. Crazy. All of this in one 24-hour period. And then we get to today. We have DOJ subcommittee hearings. We have Tulsi Gabbard being confirmed. We have Trump on a phone call with Russian President Putin to get a peace deal in place for the Ukraine-Russian conflict. That's just today. It is so hard to keep track of everything going on right now. But we'll bring it to you as best we can when we return right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I got to tell you about my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They got some great deals going on right now for winter clearance. Your last chance for low-price installs. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they got to clear out the old inventory from 2024. They're going to pass the savings along to you to make room for their 2025 inventory. And if you need a new heat pump, man, they got a good deal for you. Just $6,997 for a 14-SEER, 1.5 to 3-ton split heat pump model. And you can get a bundled-in smart thermostat if you're one of the first 25 customers to get it. Maybe you don't need your system replaced. Maybe you just need the maintenance. I hope so for you, man. That's a better deal. And with the Beehive Club membership, they take care of you for just $99 per unit. 3 annual tune-ups, 10% off all repairs, front-of-the-line service, $100 annual accrued replacement credit, and no overtime or holiday fees, plus exclusive Beehive member promotions. Like all month long, you buy one Beehive Club membership, you get one of equal or lesser value for free. Call Busy Bee today, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833. Online, busybeehvac.com.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Well, President Trump has posted to Truth Social that negotiations to end Russia's war on Ukraine are in motion. We'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 11:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So Donald Trump wants to bring peace to the Middle East. I think he can do it. I do. Especially when you hear King Abdullah II of Jordan during his visit with Donald Trump yesterday. I mean, this guy's talking about peace in the Middle East and saying Donald Trump is the guy that could bring them there.
Mr. President, I truly believe that with all the challenges that we have in the Middle East, that I finally see somebody that can take us across the finish line to bring stability, peace, and prosperity to all of us in the region. And it is, I think, our collective responsibility in the Middle East to continue to work with you, to support you, to achieve those lofty goals. So I'm very delighted to be here. And as you said, sir, we've got some very interesting discussions ahead of us.
Very good.
Yeah, very interesting discussions. Very interesting discussions. Dan's had some great interviews on the Gaza, Palestine, and where do the Palestinians go? The last time they were sent to Jordan, they tried to overthrow that guy, King Abdullah's father. Yet Donald Trump gets into office and he immediately has them saying, "Okay, well, we'll take some Palestinians." Now, this isn't all the Palestinians, but this is absolutely a start.
One of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on the Gaza challenges.
So I want to tell you, excuse me, wait, just please. I didn't know that, what you just said, 2,000 children with cancer or other problems. And that's really a beautiful gesture. That's really good, and we appreciate it.
This is how you get things started, right? Let's start small. Let's see where we can go. Let's start talking to Egypt. Let's talk more with Jordan. Let's figure out a plan. But this is the olive branch being extended. And while he's accepting the kindness of King Abdullah there, he's also really being forceful with Hamas in the meantime, and he addressed Hamas during this press conference with King Abdullah.
That's right. You know, the bully, I've always, and I found it throughout my life, a bully is the weakest person. And they're bullies. Hamas is bullies. The weakest people are bullies. You know that, right?
Yeah, you know that. Everybody knows that. But Trump is bringing peace back through strength. We're seeing it over and over and over. And he was asked, are you going to buy Gaza? Is that what the deal is? Are you going to buy it? And his response was just classic.
You said before that the U.S. would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
What does that mean?
No reason to buy. There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually where a lot of jobs are going to be created for the people in the Middle East. It's going to be for the people in the Middle East, but I think it can be a diamond. It can be an absolute tremendous asset for the Middle East. And you're going to have peace. It's going to bring peace in the Middle East. Gaza, the way it is right now, every 10 years you're going to have the same thing happening. I've watched it so long, all the death and destruction of Gaza. The civilization's been wiped out in Gaza. No, it's going to be a tremendous thing. It's fronting on the sea. It's going to be a great economic development job. It's going to put people to work, a lot of people to work, and those people are all going to be from the Middle East.
I just love that Trump is coming in at least with some fresh ideas, right? He's trying to do things differently. Who knows how this is going to pan out? I think only time will tell. And the way he says we're going to take Gaza, this is a negotiation jumping off point, right? Throw something outlandish out there. Okay, we'll start here, and we'll see where we go. This is how Trump always does negotiations. But one reporter said, "You're going to take Gaza? You're going to take it? Under what authority?" And I love the answer here. I really do, because it just amplifies that peace through strength mantra of Donald J. Trump.
And Mr. President, take it under what authority? It is sovereign territory.
Under the U.S. authority.
And Mr.
Under the U.S. authority. Under my authority. Peace through strength. I think Donald Trump is a guy that can get this done. Now, who knows how this pans out? Who knows? I don't want boots on the ground. I don't want to occupy Gaza. But if we can get the other people in the Middle East involved in a rebuild project, figuring this out, this is good for the entire region. A lack of war will help everyone in the entire region on all sides. And I think Trump does a great job of really isolating the enemies there in Hamas, but also not dehumanizing the people that live in Gaza and looking for solutions. I don't think there's been a lot of people that have been looking for solutions in that area the same way Donald Trump is looking for solutions right now. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Tell you about the rain, how long it's going to last. Full forecast in 5 minutes. President Trump says he and Russian President Vladimir Putin have agreed to start negotiations to end the war on Ukraine. Trump posted to Truth Social he and Putin agreed to work together very closely, including visiting each other in Russia and in the U.S., and that their respective teams start by calling Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky to inform him of their conversation, which Trump said he was doing, quote, right now. Meanwhile, the United States is preparing to return cybercrime kingpin Alexander Venick to Russian custody as part of an exchange for American Mark Fogel. Fogel was returned to the United States on Tuesday. As part of this deal, Venick is forfeiting $100 million of his criminal proceeds. And over in the U.S. Senate,
yeas are 52, nays are 48. Nomination is confirmed.
President Trump's pick for Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has been confirmed as that job. U.S. Senate has now started voting on RFK Jr. as Health and Human Services Secretary. Trump's Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, just told a meeting of NATO members they're not paying enough money into the alliance.
2% is not enough. President Trump has called for 5%. And I agree. Increasing your commitment to your own security is a down payment for the future.
Meanwhile, in money news, inflation on the rise again. Consumer prices up 3% from 1 year ago, ticked up slightly from last month, more than expected. Alexis Christoforous on what it might mean later this year.
There are some economists who are actually saying, you know what, after this inflation report and the tariffs still to come from the Trump administration, which can be inflationary, they believe the Fed won't be cutting rates at all this year.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You know why you need them.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
BetterWater.com. You can watch us anywhere on Super Talk TV, Facebook, X, Twitch, and YouTube. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. You can find me off air, online, Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back.
I make that deal. How about you bitch? You make that deal?
I make that deal.
I make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
Follow for a follow. Remember when that was a thing? Do you remember that? I remember.
Oh, I remember that big time.
Yeah, follow for a follow.
I'll follow you, you follow me. Share for share.
Hashtag follow back. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah, huge.
Cringy looking back on it.
Oh, absolutely. But it was the early days.
It was, we were there.
It started.
We were there.
Figuring it out.
Yep. So there's been a lot happening today. We have a DOJ subcommittee going over the waste and the fraud in the U.S. government. We have Tulsi Gabbard being confirmed as the Director of National Intelligence, which is wild. And just moments ago, RFK Jr. has successfully cleared the Senate cloture vote. Is that how you pronounce it? Cloture? Cloture. So that, either way, however you pronounce it, it puts RFK one step closer to officially becoming the HHS secretary. What you're seeing right now from the 47th president's administration is not even in its final form. We're working on peace in the Middle East. We're getting hostages back from Russia, and we're not even at full strength. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. A couple stories yesterday that you blink and you miss them. Did you hear Anna Paulina Luna? I mistakenly said Lauren Boebert earlier. This is Anna Paulina Luna. She is going to be heading up the JFK Assassination Declassification Committee, and she told the press she's leading the task force to declassify the documents. She told the press yesterday, in between, Trump meeting with the King of Jordan and this wild press conference with Elon Musk and getting a hostage return from Russia. In between all of that, Anna Paulina Luna finds a podium, and this happened. She's declassifying. She's leading the task force to declassify the JFK documents, and she said that she believes there were two shooters. This is one of the craziest things. Can you give me a little audio? Anna Paulina Luna saying that she thinks that there were two shooters.
What is your priority list? Is Epstein 9/11?
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters.
What? What? Conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theorists going wild. Two shooters, no magic bullet. What?
Will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public.
I mean, I don't know about you, but this news cycle has been so crazy that would have been an absolute bombshell. It reminds me of like a couple months back when like everybody's like aliens, and everybody's like, whatever. Like if only that had happened 10 years ago, it would have been a bigger story. But that's the current state of the news cycle. You have Anna Paulina Luna, who is heading up a task force to declassify the JFK documents, and gets to a podium and says, yeah, based on what I'm seeing, two shooters, guys. Two shooters. Insanity. I'm here for it. The task force is also going to look into information on the origins of COVID-19, UFOs, the Epstein client list, the 9/11 files, Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, RFK's assassination, and more. But she said she doesn't believe in the magic bullet theory based on what she's seeing. That's wild. That is wild. Sign me up. Again, you blink and you miss this stuff. Glenn Beck was on the Patrick Bet David podcast yesterday, and this is another one of those stories. The news cycle has been so crazy that if you weren't paying attention, this is gone on your timeline before you even get to it. Glenn Beck went on the Patrick Bet David podcast and said, in the next 10 days, you're going to see the Epstein files released.
The only thing I care about is the scandal of the pedophiles, and in the next 10 days, you're going to see the Epstein file released.
In the next 10 days?
Next 10 days.
Oh,
Yep.
please. You think in the next 10 days the whole thing's going to be released?
Yeah.
And what kind of information you have to be able to be that certain about it?
I plead the fifth.
In the next 10 days?
The next 10 days.
Oh, Glenn,
please. Yeah.
Stop it.
Next 10 days.
You're
I'm telling
teasing millions who want that list.
Day number 1, Kash Patel walks in. By the end of the day, it will be released.
Oh, please.
Did Kash Patel get confirmed yet?
Not yet. They
Not
delayed
yet.
it.
And did RFK get confirmed yet?
Not yet.
Tulsi?
None of them.
The House, not Senate. Yeah.
So as soon as he's confirmed, his first day, it will be released.
Oh, I can't wait.
Sign me up. Now, again, 10 days. Listen, we'll find out, right? We'll find out if Glenn Beck is telling the truth here in a matter of, 10 days. So he said day 1 when Kash Patel is confirmed, we'll get the Epstein files. Golly. We're not even seeing the Trump administration in its final form. We're not. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get crazy. Meanwhile, on the southern border, Tom Homan last night on the news breaking down some facts on the Biden administration, how they left us woefully unprepared.
So President Trump deserves credit, not just securing that border, but in saving lives by securing that border. And Biden administration could have did the same thing. They knew how to do it. They just didn't want to do it because they undid everything Trump did. They would have just kept everything in place, would never have this issue we had. But why would they purposely unsecure a border? Because it's not incompetence, it's not mismanagement. They knew exactly what they were doing because they wrote over 90 executive orders destroying everything. It gave us the most secure border in my lifetime, my career. I think it's for a lot of reasons. I think there's some of them really truly believe in open borders. There should be no borders. Some think there's a future political benefit by these millions being future Democratic voters. But we don't even have to get there because they also overturned the Trump census rule, which means millions of illegal aliens will be counted in the next census in sanctuary cities, which would result in more House seats for Democrats. They sold this country out for future political power.
They sold this country out for future political power. I love Tom Homan. I play a lot of Tom Homan. Yesterday, I played an audio bit about how he was talking about, as they squeeze the cartels and it gets harder to make money because, this has grown into $1 billion enterprise, human trafficking, drug trafficking, and more under the Biden administration. You're going to see more violence on the U.S. side of the border. And I don't know, maybe, again, I'm being a conspiracy theorist, but I was a conspiracy theorist when the brothels were busted in Nashville, and I thought, well, that sounds like it might be Tren de Aragua and illegal aliens. So maybe I'm just ahead of the curve. But yesterday, there was a car explosion in El Paso. Huh. That's odd. You know who dabbles in car explosions? Well, that would be the cartel. More than half a dozen people were injured after a reported vehicle explosion ignited a large inferno Tuesday afternoon near El Paso International Airport just before 4 p.m. El Paso Fire Department posted on X, confirming crews were responding to a Condition 4 fire at the Sun Metro Transit Operations Center. More than 100 firefighters and more than 40 units responded, according to El Paso Strategic Communications Director. The fire was later upgraded to second alarm, which means the fire escalated more. Firefighters were needed to battle the blaze. 7 patients were assessed. 4 were taken to area hospitals. According to the fire department, no fatalities reported. The local news there is reporting that a vehicle exploded, possibly inside the Sun Metro Center, igniting the fire. Roof and walls of the building collapsed in the fire, Fox 4 reported. And I don't know. I can't be the only one that thinks, could this possibly have something to do with the cartels? Again, we played a clip yesterday. Tom Homan saying the violence from the cartels are going to come on our side of the border. We've heard the reports. Border agents, if you see a drone, use your long arm and take it out. We all know why that is. We've heard reports that cartels have put green lights out on Border Patrol agents. Shoot on sight. You're good to go. Are we seeing an expansion of violence at the southern border? I think it's worth asking the question. I can't prove it, but I do know that cartels dabble in car bombs. That's a fact. And I just find it weird. El Paso, Texas, we have a car bomb yesterday. It's interesting, right? It's interesting to say the least. Also yesterday, Tom Homan, during a gaggle with reporters outside the White House, he had more strong words for the Pope. The Pope has been pretty down on the way we're securing our border. He says it's more loving to let the migrants in, let them be newcomers. That's what the Pope says. Tom Homan had some words for the Pope yesterday during this gaggle with reporters outside the White House.
Very harsh words for the.
I got harsh words for the Pope. Pope want to fix the Catholic Church. I'm saying this as a lifelong Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. I was First Communion as a Catholic. Confirmation as a Catholic. He ought to fix the Catholic Church and concentrate on his work and leave border enforcement to us. He wants to attack us from securing our border. He's got a wall around the Vatican, does he not?
Facts.
So he's got a wall around to protect his people and himself, but we can't have a wall around the United States. So I wish he'd stick to the Catholic Church and fix that.
I love Tom Homan. I love how no-nonsense he is. Tom Homan is just an absolute gift. And again, these are the guys in the Trump administration that are out there doing the work right now. You got people like Tom Homan. You got people like Elon Musk. You got Pam Bondi out there absolutely hustling. And we're not even in our final form. Tulsi Gabbard just confirmed today. RFK Jr. just passing a critical hurdle on the way to his confirmation. Kash Patel, he's coming very, very soon. They're going to keep trying to delay that vote, but you can't delay the inevitable. And I do believe that RFK Jr., Kash Patel, those confirmations are inevitable. The American people have made their voices loud and clear. So we'll keep you updated on all the latest. And we'll be bringing you more from that DOJ subcommittee hearing that happened this morning all day long right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. On the way, we're going to check in with Chad Benson, see what he's got planned for the Chad Benson Show right here on Super Talk. It's 11:53. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I got Chad Benson in studio.
What's up?
Yeah, you spent some time near the southern border.
I did.
You're familiar with the cartels.
Very much so.
Okay, when you see that car exploding in El Paso, am I wrong for thinking...
That's the first thing I thought.
Was it?
It's cartel.
Okay.
You know,
so I'm not off.
The cartels, it's interesting because I was down with Brandon Judd a few years ago. We were down in like McAllen and stuff where he gave us a huge tour. And by the way, some of the stuff he told us, I'm like, okay, if you think that the military hasn't gone down in practice, you're fooling yourself. But he said, you know, they are very cognizant of they don't want it to spill into American streets because the minute it does that, they recognize it changes the way that people feel. And I think he said the minute a girl named Becky dies in the middle of Phoenix because of a cartel shootout is the minute that everybody says, all right, we're going to do this for real now.
But you did see Tom Homan saying, expect some of the violence to pour over now that we're tightening things up.
Yeah, it's a possibility. And the cartels, you know, if for you guys don't pay any attention, you go outside of Chicago, there's not too many gangs, you know, that we used to think of the Crips and the Bloods who do anything because the mafia and the cartels took care of everything.
Are the cartels the modern day mafia? The modern day mafia,
absolutely,
in your eyes?
Absolutely, absolutely. With more power and reach, because the mafia's reach was in essentially New York and Vegas and a few other places, big cities. But this is, I mean, there is cartel members in. You go to Wyoming, there's a cartel member there.
Do you think, like, when you see these stories of the brothel and Tren de Aragua in Nashville, is there cartels signing off on this kind of stuff?
I don't know how much. Well, they probably know about it. As far as signing off on it, that might be a different thing. And if there's anything that the cartels have here, Trente's either saying you're going to pay some sort of rate or you're going to get out of here because the cartels don't mess around.
Well, it's like military execution on like how orders come down.
They train with the military. Like, you know, when you look at several of the gangs that are out there, including, you know, you've got some of them started like the Zetas were essentially their special forces. And those guys left because they were protecting gangs because they're making millions of dollars. Then they said, screw it, we'll do it ourselves. But they were special forces. Many of those guys were special forces. And they train everywhere, special forces. They'll go around the globe and train in areas where they can do stuff. It's what's scary.
That's insane.
It is. I mean, there's serious business where the mafia ran their whole mafia business was they didn't want to be seen. We don't exist. It's not real. Where the cartels want everybody to know that, especially where they are in certain areas.
So, just to recap, you see that car explosion in El Paso yesterday.
First came to my mind.
That was the first thing I thought.
Because they got that, what's his name there, a couple months ago. Remember when they got the plane to land there?
Yes.
They arrested that guy.
Yes. Do you think if it's proven to be cartel activity that the media is going to do any kind of real coverage on that?
Yeah, I think if it was proven to be cartel stuff, absolutely. Because it's you're reporting on a crime, but you're also reporting on the fact that now it's in our country. The kind of like violence that you think is only meant for Tijuana or a few other places across, you know, Ciudad Juarez and stuff. We know that it's here, but normally it's confined to them versus them in that kind of situation. I mean, if that would have taken out a ton of people, I mean, it changes the way people look. Build a bigger wall. The people that are saying, don't build a wall, be like, build two walls.
Do you think that would change the Democrats' strategy on the newcomers?
Yeah. No, I mean, to a certain extent, I think it would. I mean, and the Democrats are looking for something, but it only takes one situation where that Becky is shot down in the middle of the street where everybody changes their mind. And we had that. Remember when they killed that, you're probably too young. It's weird to say that because it's not like you're 14, but they killed a DEA agent and tortured him in the late 80s, early 90s. And that changed everybody's thought of Mexico and the border for a while. And this is 1,000 times worse.
1,000 times worse. It's wild.
And if you're a Sicario as a youngster in Mexico, you can't be held past 18. So that's why they're all young kids, because once they hit 18, well, then they can do whatever they want. But you can kill a bunch of people, and then when you're 18, you're free. Bye, have a wonderful day.
Insane. Well, and that's another thing. It's like everybody says, think of the children. You know, these 13, 14, 15-year-olds coming over, and I'm like, that's a different 13, 14, 15-year-old when you're raised in that kind of an environment.
And even if, and 99% of them have nothing to do with the gangs, the stuff that they've seen in their life is is other. It's like people, when I was a kid growing up in Long Beach, we had the first boat kids, they were called. So these were kids from Cambodia and Laos. A couple of my friends, they were part of the Khmer Rouge. They're like 13. You know, the stuff that they saw at 13 compared to the stuff our kids see, me, nothing.
We had a Cambodian kid in our school, Daro, and he had escaped the Khmer Rouge. And one day he showed us his back.
Yes.
And it was eye-opening, the amount of scars that this kid had on his back.
We had two brothers, and from what I could gather, they didn't know who was older, but they were forced to kill their parents because their parents were intellectuals.
It's dark, man.
It's super dark. We just have no idea. That's how, like my daughter's waiting for a new doll to get there today. She has no idea, and I want to shield her from that as long as possible.
Absolutely.
Be real, but shield her.
Well, it's tough, too. And you're in the parenting game. Like, you get it. It's like, I love the Jordan Peterson when he's talking about Maleficent and Sleeping Beauty. He's like, she wasn't mad that she was mad because she wasn't invited.
Yeah.
So she stormed the gates. Had you invited her in, then she wouldn't have been as crazy. Like, you do have to invite some sort of evil in there to get these kids ready, but
you don't want to desensitize.
But there's a fine line in that balancing act.
Yeah, it's a maturity thing. Like, what can you handle at, some 8-year-olds can handle a little bit more than some 12-year-olds and vice versa. But I want my kids to understand how lucky they are, and that just being born here, even being born here poor, you live a world better than 99% of the planet.
100%. My daughter said to me, she goes, "Dad, who killed JFK?" And I said, well, it was probably the government. She said, "What?" And then you see Anna Paulina Luna today, or yesterday, 2 shooters.
That's what she thinks.
Where are you at on it?
I want to find out. There's definitely some serious, now that they found those extra 2,000 pages, what's that all about? I want to find out, okay, did we really participate, or did we know something was coming and everybody just kind of turned around and said, well, whatever happens, happens?
Could be either.
That could be it. And how much did somebody know and not tell another agency, like 9/11? Everybody's got the puzzle pieces, but nobody put it together.
What do you got coming up on the show today?
We're talking a little bit more. Last night, you know what? Of all the stuff watching the Doge thing, the thing that I took away from that was the humanizing experience. You've got your little kid there, whatever his name is, XYZ489 or whatever.
Little X.
Little X. But that's happening, and it's just that kid's with the richest person in the history of the world, his dad, and maybe the most powerful person in the history of the world. And he's just hanging out, having fun.
He was bored.
He was bored, but it was one of those things where, man, that humanized in a way that I don't think people realize.
It was a very cool moment. Chad Benson in next. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.